Okay. I have successfully fought my cold. There's a little bit there, but not much. Alright, so I want to talk about the chapter devoted to clever and witty dialogue, or monologue, as the case may be, and how wordplay can really help you as you attempt to be persuasive. Um, if nothing else, then because um, playing with words, having fun with words, you can have a more dramatic, intense effect on your listener if you choose your words carefully and add words that have some sparkle and pizzazz to them. You'll have a greater impact, and therefore your message will be more memorable. So it can't hurt. It can only help. And of course, many of our most famous orators in history, they're famous because the way that their speech was constructed, they had some very memorable lines. They're, very well written lines that just stood the test of time. Martin Luther King's, of course, his great speech, I have a dream, I have a dream, I have a dream. That repetition um, is a rhetorical technique called anaphora, where you're repeating the first words that begin one line, and then the same first phrase begins the second line that goes in a different direction, and so on. But the repetition of that phrase is what creates this almost ritualistic mantra that creates a rhythm all of its own, like a song, and lulls the audience into this almost like a trance. They get pulled away, swept away by the rhetorical power of a speaker like that. So it never hurts to, weave in certain rhetorical devices like that when you can, because it'll have a more intense effect on your audience. So just being aware of the different types of figures of speech, you may be tempted to use them more. The first one being, of course, not of course, but it's a common one, the analogy. And analogies are great because when you're trying to explain anything, if you're trying to explain a new concept to your audience, what better way to explain something new than to compare it to something that they already know? And so, for instance, sometimes I begin my public speaking classes by having, one student introducing another student. And I ask them, not only do I want you to find out all the information you can about them, but I want you to condense that information, select the most interesting parts of their biography, and turn it into some kind of an analogy. What do they remind you of? And you can be as zany as you want to be. And I give them the example of, let's say I was meeting somebody and I got to know them, and they had a crazy sense of humor, and there were lots of layers to their personality, and they kind of had this sort of feisty side to them. I might say, my friend is like an enchilada. She has a cheesy sense of humor. There are many different layers to her as you get to know her. And she has this little feisty side that is fun and warm and inviting and, like a cheese enchilada. So, you know what a cheese enchilada is, right? And you don't know who this person is, but by comparing this unknown to something that is known, you get a sense. You get a better sense of who they are, and that image is linked with that person. So, analogy is great and fun, and just helps your audience understand and appreciate something new.